bring in who I think is probably the best guest we have, to be quite honest with you. Every time we have him on, I'm just blown away. I'm not blowing sunshine up your butt, Roman. I just think I think you're awesome. And so I appreciate you being on. Good morning. How you doing? We got Roman Harper.
Good morning.
I'm doing good, guys. How you doing, Coach? Barry?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Roman, I want to ask you, Rex Ryan calling out Amari Cooper, saying he quits on his routes, doesn't show up for big games, called him a turd. He came back and walked it back later after he got a lot of criticism for it. Turd? I mean, I might call Antonio Brown a turd. Why do people have to do stuff like that? Why would Rex Ryan make those comments? I just want to get your thoughts on what he had to say.
I think he just wanted some clicks, man. At the end of the day, Rex has always been known as one of those coaches that kind of just speaks and talks and says what he wants to say. And sometimes when you don't have a lot of great things to say, or you don't know exactly how to describe it, you just kind of just throw words out there. And I think he kind of got ahead of himself. Look, Amari Cooper was the top receiver in his draft class for a reason. This guy is a great player. He wins at the top of the route. He wins at the line of scrimmage consistently and separates from guys all the time. Look, I think the Cowboys team struggled as a whole at times throwing the ball last year. I think Dak Prescott played a big part in that. I'm not going to always say it was Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper also dropped the ball here and there. But you can't say, respectfully, and expect everybody to respect your opinion when you sit up here and say this guy just disappears in big games. When that Dallas offense took off when Amari Cooper got there. And because of Amari Cooper, that's when it seemed like Dak Prescott could all of a sudden figure it out. Because without Zeke Elliott, that Dallas offense didn't look very good and was not doing well without Zeke Elliott. That's how it's been when he was suspended for those 5 or 6 games. Like, it wasn't like Dak was just playing out of control. No. So when Amari Cooper showed up is when that all of a sudden that offense looked more complete, because now they had a wide receiver, a running back, and a quarterback, the same way that everybody felt comfortable, and that is the Dallas Cowboys that we know from the 90s when you had Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, and Troy Aikman.
This is probably a dumb question, but what is, if that were you, if you were Amari Cooper, if Rex Ryan said that about you, would you pick up the phone and call him? I mean, do these guys call and say, man, what the crap are you doing? I mean, or do they just say, whatever, man? I know everybody's different. How would you handle that?
No, you definitely say whatever, but because let's be honest, it's not like I'm about 100% sure Amari Cooper does not have Rex Ryan's phone number. So it's not like you can just reach out and call somebody. But you respect everybody's opinion, and you probably take it with a grain of salt. But at the same time, like if I ever saw that dude, I got something to say to him. Or like, don't try and shake my hand and act like we cool now. Because those words, like, people hold on to words, I promise you. Because I remember when I felt disrespected when somebody said something about me. Who's the guy? Who's that? Clayton? Who's the draft expert? I remember this like it was yesterday. It was like the Saints draft was blah, 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 blah. And the only thing he wrote about the Saints draft was Reggie Bush home run. And then he said Roman Harper in the second round was an overreach. They could have got him in the third or the fourth. And I never forget that. I never forget that. Yeah. I never will forget that. And because of that, like, I hold on to that. And every time I get up there and he sits up there and talks about all these great guys, blah, 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 I just get frustrated because I'm like, everybody you're talking about is probably a first-round pick. And all you're doing is banging on them and talking about all the negative, and you're going to be wrong on about 80% of them because half the guys you're saying there can't miss aren't going to turn out to be anything in the NFL.
Yeah, good point, Dad.
Well, I have the Washington Redskins with all the different coaches they've had, front office people they've had. Why have they just been the failure from Steve Spurrier, college guy coming in there to Pros Brothers? Why is it that they just absolutely awful all the time?
You know what? I think I can only point to Daniel Snyder. As much as that is like as bad as that sounds, like it's almost like the New York Knicks, right? Like at some point you got the owner has to take the man that's making some of these decisions has to take some kind of credit for it. I think the fans have been loyal. I think they've always tried to show up. The tickets are expensive. Parking is expensive. And they've had some talented players. It just seems like when they have talented players, they can't put it all together offensively, defensively, special teams. I did not know that they hadn't won or, like, They just hadn't been good for almost 20 years. It's been really dramatic to see, and I'm rooting for them because of Coach Rivera. I think he's a great coach. I don't know how he's going to handle the whole aspect of kind of being a GM and a coach, like having all the decision-making. I feel like that's a lot. And you got to have the right staff and the right people around you. You got to have really smart and bright minds that are doing some game-changing things. You got to be willing to go out on a risk sometime on some players. You got to be able to see guys and, hey, this guy's going to be a little too old. Like, you got to have to make some changes and cut guys and do some different things that not everybody's going to agree with, but you're going to look up in 2 or 3 years and like, man, that was a defining moment. Like, for the New Orleans Saints, like, them drafting a running back in the 3rd round and releasing him and still keeping an undrafted guy like a Pierre Thomas, right? Like, a lot of organizations might not make that move, but that right there pays off because now you look up 8 years down the road, Pierre Thomas is still playing for the Saints, and that other running back is just a journeyman. Like, you have to make those decisions, those hard decisions that not everybody's going to feel like it's a popular move or going to make everybody happy, but you got to make that to make your organization next to kind of set the tone that, hey, the best players will always play no matter where you're drafted, no matter how much you're getting paid. And if you do that for long enough, good results are going to happen.
We're talking with Roman Harper. Roman, I'm happy the NFL's going on with the draft. I know they're going to, I guess, do it from their homes with the social distancing starting April 23rd. I wish they'd do one round a night to give you something to watch.
No, please don't do that. For all those players that just have to sit there,
yeah, you're right.
Don't put them through that.
You're right.
Do not put them through that.
I didn't think about
awful,
it like that. I'm being selfish. You're right. All right.
Yes, you are.
You're right.
Do not put those players through that.
But that's why I feel sorry for those guys that were going to be draft picks. You know, you only get to go to the NFL draft once. They're missing out on a pretty life-changing experience, aren't they? I mean, they're going to be playing the NFL and they're going to get big money, but that's kind of got to be a thrill to hear your name called, be in Vegas. Just talk about that for a minute.
Well, I was excited because I had a couple opportunities I might indulge upon. So, but, you know, at the end of the day, I didn't get drafted. I didn't get invited. Like, my first time being at the NFL draft was when I announced the Saints pick like 2 or 3 years ago. So it's not like that defines you. I think it's a great and a blessed opportunity to get that chance to actually to go there and be represented in that way. But at the end of the day, there's nothing better than sharing that moment with all the family and all the people that were around you when you were nobody or when nobody knew who you were, right? Like, There's something to be said about that as well. Like, that's how it was for me. I was just back home in Prattville just trying not to be around anybody because you have no idea when your name's actually really going to get called. And to be able to share that with my parents as your name scrolls across the bottom of the screen, like, there's no better feeling in the world, and there's nothing else similar to that feeling when that does actually happen. And also the disappointments of not getting your name called when you want it. Like, all that's kind of like life lessons, like going through the emotions, the ebbs and flows of the draft, where you really have no idea, and you don't have all the cameras in front of you where, you know, you're sitting there patiently or impatiently on getting your name called. I think you take all the pressure off of everybody. It's going to kind of take us back to in the 70s or maybe in the 80s or whatever, when everybody just had the phone. They just called in the pick. And that's just what they did. It wasn't a lot of different things. And the scouts, they have to go out there and really grind and really just go out there. And it's not going to be such a spectacle. It's just all about the draft picks and actually improving your team. I think that part of it will actually get us back to some just really enjoying the aspect of watching our team really improve right in front of us, and not all the spectacle of, you know, all these other things. And, you know, really, because once I announced the draft pick, I actually saw, like, they had the draft pick like 20 minutes ahead of when I actually had to go up there. They already knew. So, like, the TV aspect brings a lot of different things that most people don't know. Like, the pick's already in, like, 20 minutes before they announce it on TV. Like, it's already in. So that is the part that I'm ready to get rid of and just, hey, let's just move on with it. We don't need all the commercials, all the highlights, and all the other things that the draft tries to do because they have to sell tickets and TV time. Let's get back to the root of it where we're just improving teams.
Are they doing the right thing having the draft now? I think they are. Do you?
I think they are because I think America, this country's built on sports and entertainment. Like, that is what we are. That and debt, all right? This country's built on debt, too. Don't forget about that. They make money off of everybody else's debt, but we're not going to go into that. This is not that type of show, all right? But Yes, sports and entertainment. So for everybody to, like last night, watching that Monday Night Football game, the replay of that, like I know what it did for the city of New Orleans to be able to get away for 3 or 4 hours, to get away from all the turmoil and stress that you're having on everyday life, what it means to people to just get to something of regular, what they're used to seeing, right? It brings a sense of calm, a sense of gratitude, a sense of happiness and joy that they get to share that moment with their families. Like, we got some normalcy before we have to go back to what is our new normal or turmoil in their life. So I think being able to actually watch and witness the draft is going to be awesome. It's going to give people time and away from things that they're not normally used to and actually get them thinking about football again, which we all know is America's sport.
Yep, Dad.
Is Tua going ahead of this kid from Oregon? Who now they're saying maybe be the second round, be the second guy picked at the quarterback position because of the injury scare that they have with Tua, or is he going to stay there at number 2, you think?
No, Coach Wimp, let me tell you something. It's not even close. I've watched them both. Look, I like Herbert as a quarterback. I think he's athletic. I think he looks the part. You know, but I've never saw him win a game by throwing the ball in college football. To me, that tells me a lot, because in the NFL, you're going to have to win games throwing the football. So how do you expect a guy that never did it in college to all of a sudden now come to the next level and go out there and command the huddle and go out there and win games for you? You're not going to be able to just run around and run over guys and run by guys. That doesn't happen. Tua Tagovailoa is going – he won't get past number 3. I'm telling you. It ain't happening. You can mark it down right now. He won't get past number 3 because somebody's going to trade up and get him. The moment you saw him drop back about 8 steps and throw the ball 2 weeks ago in one of his videos he released, next thing you know, he was back on everybody else's radar. And he won't get past number 3. I just don't see that happening. He was – you know, Joe Burrow had an amazing year and deserves all the credit from this past year. But without Joe Burrow having that crazy season, he still would likely be one or 2 or 3 picks in the draft, and despite of all the injury concerns. But the guy can flat out throw the ball, and he is the number 2 quarterback in this draft class right now because of injury. And if it wasn't for the injury concerns, he'd still be in the conversation of being the number 1.
I still think he should be number 1. I don't care what you and Dad say. I know y'all like Joe Burrow. I'm taking Tua.
I don't blame you. I would not be mad at you for that. I really don't, because the guy had a much, much better college career than Joe Burrow. We can't even deny that. All right, Joe Burrow also got beat out by a couple quarterbacks who you don't even know where they're at right now. He also had to transfer. He also played a junior year at LSU with a lot of the same coaching staff. We all thought he was going to be a 3rd or 4th round pick at best. And all of a sudden he had a great year with some really great receivers around him. And all of a sudden now he's going to be the number 1 overall pick.
We're talking with Roman Harper. Roman, when you saw that Nick Saban, with the advice of his strength coaches, sent all the players Apple Watches to track their movement, did you smile and say, that's my coach, he's always one step ahead? Or what were your thoughts when he did that? Because I hear Dabo say, our guys are working out. We don't need an Apple Watch. I don't know. College guys, if they're back home, if they don't have somebody standing over them, a lot of these guys probably aren't working out. So what were your thoughts about Coach sending them all Apple Watches?
I think it's a genius move. I'm glad NCAA ain't hating on us, all right, for it. And I'm pretty sure, look, I don't trust any college kid. I don't trust any kid from the age of about 18 to 20 or 17 to 20. Like, there's no way in the world they're going to do the right thing all the time, right? Like, nobody. I mean, they're teenagers. And we all were that age at one time. Like, there's no way in the world I'm doing the right thing. So I think it's smart to always just try and find any way to get an edge. Like, that is what football is, right? Like, that is what the best coaches and best organization and the best teams do. They're always trying to sharpen that knife. They're always trying to find a way to get an edge, right, to get ahead. And trying to make sure your guys are maintaining workouts or anything like that. It all sounds smart, you know, just like same way parents track their kids' phone. It all sounds smart until the kid doesn't put the watch on, right? Or he just does something else where you can't track him. It is what it is, but I think it's funny more than actually how much it's really going to work. I do not know. But it's all entertainment to me when you see that as much as we try not to value kids or put a dollar amount on what the work that they do, how much money it's really involved to be able to afford a whole bunch of Apple Watches to just give out to players so we can track them, I mean, as much as we don't like to talk about money in college, there's so much money in college.
I could see one of those big linemen give his little brother, put this watch on, go run 2 miles. I'll give you $10.
Exactly.
Yeah, Dad.
Why is it that there's so many misses on quarterbacks for the draft? Is that just is it because they gamble, hoping that the guy's going to be better than they thought? That somebody all of a sudden, like Baltimore had a guy they said couldn't pass, and they took him, and he turned out to be much better than everybody else thought. Do they gamble because of that? They just gamble.
Yeah, Coach. So it's because the quarterback position is such a high value. Like, they put such a high value mark on the quarterback position. So guys are willing to take flyers on guys who normally you wouldn't put them that high. Somebody like a Jordan Love, right? Like, he has a lot of talent.
Yeah.
The quarterback from Utah State. Everybody talks all these things, but he's very raw. He has a lot of work to do. So if he played a offensive line, or if he was a wide receiver, he would go in the second or third round because he's raw. He goes to a smaller school. Like, it would just be like, oh, well, we just find, he'll still be around in the second, third round. At quarterback, people will just jump up and take a quarterback sometimes, right? Because quarterbacks are premium. It's like, because the upside is so big. Like, oh, well, what if he does turn out? And then you're like, well, if he does turn out, then you got a starting quarterback that changes your franchise for the next 10 to 15 years versus, a wide receiver or something like that. So it's because the high value mark that they put on them. And with the Lamar Jackson thing, the reason Lamar Jackson works so well in Baltimore because the organization of Baltimore is run so right and is so smart about their business. Shout out to the Alabama guy that runs it all up there. And that is the fact that they made the whole organization around Lamar Jackson. The whole offense was built around him. It wasn't like they said, Lamar, you have to come in and run what we want you to run. They built it all around him to make him successful. What does he do well? What does he not do well? And they built it all around his strong point. I think that is another thing that allowed him to be so successful last year, and going forward, he will continue to do well. Could you imagine Michael Vick being in the offense that they built specifically for him, how athletic and how talented he was? It's just crazy to see how the game has completely changed, where they used to just say a quarterback has to come in and has to run this pro style, and now they're saying, hey, we're this pro style, we're going to build it around our players and let them kind of dictate what we're going to run.
Is New England going to surprise us with the quarterback they pick?
You know what? If New England could trade up and get Tua, I wouldn't be surprised. But, I have no idea what New England's going to do up there. There's no way. I just don't think they got to have something up their sleeve.
They're tanking for Trevor Lawrence.
They got first of all, the Patriots will never tank, but they got something up their sleeve. I'm telling you, it's not just as cut and dry as you think. There's no way. I don't believe it.
Why can Cam and Jameis Winston, why can they not get a job? I guess Cam, the doctors want to see if he's really healthy, or maybe all their shenanigans. I don't know if Cam has shenanigans, but the way he dresses at press conferences will be enough to make me not want to take him. And Jameis, sometimes are there problems sometimes holding these guys back? Are people sick of dealing with that kind of stuff?
No, not at all. I think it's more the fact of it's just not a lot of jobs out there right now, right? Like, I think if everybody knew that Cam Newton was going to be a free agent when the free agent market was going to be available, I think people would have did studies on him, and he would have been off the board, and he would have been in with a starting team. He'd probably been with a team already. I think Jameis in a different position because he had the turnover thing, but he had so many highs, he had so many lows. You just don't know where he wants to be. And where does Jameis want to be? Does he want to go and sign? We don't know the personality or the mindset of these players either. Like, are they willing to go and sit somewhere and be a backup and then have the opportunity to earn their starting job back, right? Like Ryan Tannehill did for the Tennessee Titans last year. And also the teams like San Diego and who else is it? Miami Dolphins. Like, we already know they're already looking for quarterbacks in this draft. Cincinnati Bengals being another team. You also have Andy Dalton who's going to be out there as well. So it's a lot of quarterbacks who you just don't know where they're going to be. Are they going to have to go out there and earn a starting job? Are they going to what are they going to sit at, and who needs a starting quarterback? A lot of these teams, like the Indianapolis Colts, they already went out there and got Phillip Rivers because of the similarity between head coach and quarterback. So it's other opportunities and teams like that are going to be out there. They're going to wait. And we also got to see it also because of Cam Newton and his health issues. Doctors want to see, is he available? How available is he if we go and sign him right now? I know he looks great on Instagram working out, but is he going to be able to go out there and do it on a high level like we're expecting him to be? And we need all of Cam. We don't need just being able to throw Cam. We want the Cam that can run, that can dance, that can bring excitement to our team and our organization. That's the Cam you're looking to bring into. And with Jameis Winston, he's young. He'll get a chance, but he has to kind of rebuild the outlook on his career.
All right, Roman, what is Roman Harper going to do today? Are you a Netflix guy? I mean, tell me how you're going to spend your day because I'm looking for things to do.
Man, I wish. So I'm not going to lie. So right now I'm teaching, doing a lot of teaching with the kids because they're at home schooling right now. And that has been the most difficult thing for me and my wife during this time is just being in the house where, like, neither one of us can go away. Like, I usually can go work out or do some other things. But, man, we, like, bark at each other all day long over nothing. And then the teaching at home has been a real big thing. But I always just try and get away and play my video game a couple times a day. I play Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It's a new game on PlayStation. And I'm pretty much on that right now. So that's my thing away from parenting.
Yeah, somebody sent me a message. It's been a blessing being home with my wife for 3 weeks now. We've caught up on everything that I've done wrong for 15 years. Do you feel that way?
No doubt. I mean, everything. Like, literally everything I do wrong. I told my dad the other day, I said, Dad, I'm just here just trying not to get yelled at, you know?
Yeah. Does she ever tell you anything you do right? Do you ever hear that?
No, never, actually.
Okay.
Now that I think about it, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't actually at all.
Yeah. Well, Roman,
I'm glad I'm not the only one, though. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Misery loves company.
That's
obviously.
right. Well, great job. Roman. If Tua goes number one, I'm going to have to text you when that happens. So hopefully we get you back.
Please do, but it's not going to happen, though.
All right.
Please do. Just know he won't go past 3. It's
all
okay.
Right. That's good. He'll still make a lot of money.
Roman.
Thanks, Roman.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Coach. All right, Barry. You guys take it.
All right. There's Roman Harper.